Welcome to the advent of AI. I'm your host, Paul Drake. I'm excited to be joined by Jake Wells today from Meshed. Meshed is very exciting. I posted last week and I was looking for people who work at an agency or a carrier who are using AI and seeing the benefits of AI. But we're seeing a new brand of agency come out, and that is an AI-driven agency. From the ground up, the application of AI has been considered in all of their processes and the way they even approach doing their business. And so Meshed is one of those emerging agencies out of London, correct?
Yeah, so I'm co-founder of Meshed. We are looking to build an AI native insurance broker. I think at the time is perfect right now with the kind of wave of large language models that we're seeing, and taking mine and Mark and Vince's previous experience working in this space and kind of building something really special.
I'm really excited to see more and more of these agencies come out and see how much of an impact, because this has been the dream, is the kind of efficiencies that you're going to see with AI. Mesh is going to be able to realize those much faster, given the fact they're designing things from scratch to utilize the power of AI. But the topic we have in our conversation today is one that came up when Jake and I first spoke together. He was talking about the placement of risk and how AI can actually be used to improve the process of really evaluating the submission from the applicant and deciding which carriers to go to for quotes. And this is something that is it's really topical, because there's a lot of agencies right now that know that this process of placing risk is something that's just very ad hoc. And a lot of the carrier appetite lives in the mind of the producers. And there is inherent biases that go into this. Jake, I'm going to give it over to you. I would love to talk about this a little bit. Before AI, what does this process look like for a lot of agencies? What are some of the inherent problems with that? And then we can get into discussing more about how AI can actually be applied to this particular part of the workflow for a lot of agencies.
Amazing. So as we in the UK, we're a commercial insurance broker, which means that we could have a whole variety of different commercial customers. You could be a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. And what that means is that we need to be able to understand the appetites that our insurers have. And we have over 51 different agencies with 51 different insurers that have multiple different products that are evolving over time as markets soften and markets harden, that they want different things. And also what you'll find is, and what we've seen a lot, is what the insurers say they want might not be what they're actually accepting. And I've seen this firsthand. And where this kind of idea originally originated from us was in our previous company. We would have a lot of the team messaging in the team chat saying, I've got this risk, where's the best place to place this?
Yes.
I'm even seeing this now. We're part of the Willis Towers Watson network, and even within their own intranet, I'm seeing brokers talk to other brokers saying, I've got this client that wants to do X, or I've got this client that's got Y, where should we place this? Because these things are changing constantly, it's quite hard for brokers to stay updated. And as exactly as you mentioned, Paul, this does lead to a lot of biases that can sneak in there.
I think one of the things that's interesting about this is that it's not even there's not even a pernicious element to this, where these risks are being improperly placed because of some misaligned incentives. It's really hard to keep track of this information. It's really hard to keep track of what carriers will write certain businesses. And if you're a business out there and you're looking to get insurance, you're trying to get the best deal you possibly can for your business. And for the insurance broker that you're going to, they have so much to keep track of. It may be really difficult for them to really know on offhand which broker or which carrier is the best fit for your particular business, purely because it's an ever-changing target. As Jake mentioned, is constantly changing their appetite, what types of businesses they'll write, and they'll say one thing and do another. So how does this, what are some of the other challenges that you see? What are some of the other biases? And what are kind of the second order consequences that you see of improper placement of risk?
Yeah, I think there's a wide variety of biases that can sneak in here, and I do think there are some. I don't want to say they're being nefarious, but there are personal biases that come in. If you're a broker and you have a bigger target with your insurance partner, where if you hit a certain volume overrider, you're going to earn more commission, and then you've got to think, I personally am going to earn more commission out of this. So you might be looking to push more business into those insurers. So there's that kind of bias that comes in. There's also regency bias. Got a manufacturing risk that just came in. You might think, oh, I placed a manufacturing risk last week. Who was that with again? Well, that was with Aviva, let me go and place it with them. So that kind of sneaks in. And as you said, it is to the detriment of the customer, because we have multiple agencies that we can place this with. But is the ones that I'm thinking of currently, is the ones that are going to pay us more? Or is it that I actually enjoy speaking to that underwriter, and I enjoy meeting that underwriter for a beer in Leadenhall Market on a Thursday to discuss this risk? So there's a lot that can kind of come into to question here. When we're talking about placing risks in the UK, if we're doing an advised sale, we have to place it with a minimum of 3. So your first 3 are probably going to might be the easiest ones that you can get to, because brokers are bogged down. There was a report done by one of the large insurers in the UK a couple of weeks ago that said 70% of brokers said that they were either stressed or very stressed, and that's due to kind of time pressures. So if you don't have the time to be sitting there going back through these appetite guides, understanding where the best place to place risk is, then that's why these things come in. So yeah, so it's hard. Like, I'm not saying brokers are kind of taking these way out. It is hard. It is really, really hard at the moment. And there are so many kind of appetites, as you said, they're changing. And these biases and these time pressures can mean that at the end of the day, the clients might not be getting kind of the optimal coverage or the best price that could be out there for them in the market.
Yeah, and so much of the broker's life is spent on tedious, time-consuming tasks. So they don't actually, even if they had a good idea of the carrier's appetite, it's because it's changing so much. It's hard for them to keep on top of this with all the other responsibilities that they have. And then to your point, the misaligned incentive with them getting paid more to go to certain carriers with certain risks, it may not be for the benefit of the actual insured. So this is where we have an inflection point where AI can actually help start to track some of these carrier appetites and understand where would be the best place, what would be the best carrier to send that submission to get a quote from on behalf of that business. How does this work, Jake? How are you going to be doing this at Meshed?
Yeah, amazing. So what we're doing at Meshed is there's different ways that insurers will let their broker partners know about these appetite changes. So it could be an email that goes out. So we regularly get emails that will say, this is the type of risk that we like, or this has changed from X to Y. They'll also just update their appetite guides that might be on their own portals or their own intranet systems that the brokers can use. They might also just update it on a public facing website and not tell anyone, which is what we see for the different product lines. So we've got all of these updates that are happening. They're all quite sporadic. They're all quite random. Building is a way that we can ingest that. And one of the beauties of the kind of evolution of these language models is in the name. These are language models. They're text-based. They're text-focused, which means that they can ingest that quite easily and regurgitate that back to you. So if we're ingesting a load of PDFs, a load of emails, what's at the back of that is text. If we can take that text, we can then have an agent that will know, okay, we've just had a bakery come in that's turnovers X, which is employees are Y, which is in this postcode. Where's the best place to place that? And instead of you having to think in your mind of where all of those 51 agencies, we can then ask the agent, and the agent can tell us, because the agent has that unlimited memory where it can tell us the best place to place this. So it's super exciting.
The AI agent, yes.
Our AI agent, yes, sorry.
Yes,
Our
yes.
AI agent can ingest that small bit of customer information and then query it against all of the appetite guides that it knows, and then it can surface that back to our human broker and say, hey, I think markets XYZ are going to be the best place for this one.
So to say back what I'm hearing from you, what you built are essentially AI bots that are able to go to carrier websites. They're able to consume PDFs that are sent by the carrier to inform the different brokerages that they're appointed with, they have appointments with, to inform them of the changes in appetite. And then you're able to understand the variables about the business, apply that against the rules that you've gathered with these AI bots as a separate step to then determine what would be the best place to go with that particular risk.
Yeah. So we've got agents working in different capacities, because we think the success of building out a really sweet agentic agency within our own insurance brokerage is going to be having different agents doing different things. So we have some agents at the front end of things that will be gathering information. So let's say we have a new customer that comes in. We're going to take some information from that customer, whether that be on the phone, whether that be through documents, whether that be through a form. So we've got that information. And it's at that point where the human broker will need to make a decision of where is the best place for me to start getting quotes for this customer. But what we can now do is, instead of having that human broker traipsing through appetite guides, asking their teammates where they've placed a similar bit of business for, calling up someone else in another broker from the network and asking them where they've placed that before, what they can do is ask the agent, and the agent can take the information that's already been gathered and say, I've reviewed all 51 appetite guides, and these are the set markets that we need to go out for. We've got more exciting agents that can do other things after that, which we can maybe touch on in another episode. But yeah, so that's the bit that we're at, and that's where this agent is really focusing on, to remove that kind of all those biases that we were discussing.
Last question I have on this is when you actually get a response back from the carrier, whether it be they've decided to provide a quote or they have declined or there's additional questions, follow-up questions that they have. How are you informing these AI agents of this response from the carrier? Are they being informed so that they can update their carrier knowledge base, so to speak?
Yeah, so that's a later iteration. So that kind of reinforcement learning piece is something that will come in, because we also, it's not just who's not accepting that bit of business, it's also who is accepting that business, because there might be instances where they're saying that the appetite guide is saying we don't like that type of risk. We don't like restaurants. But then in actual fact, we have been sending them some restaurants and restaurants are placing, because maybe we're in a period where the appetite guide is about to change because an actuary's seen something that actually restaurants are better than we thought they were, but that the actual PDF document or the appetite guide or that email hasn't gone out yet. So we need to be not just taking in kind of the declines and the referrals, we also need to be taking in what we are placing with those insurers as well. But that reinforcement learning piece is a piece that is a later iteration.
This is the thing that I love about AI, is that AI is in many senses is like a note taker that is able to capture basic pieces of information that all of us can pick up on. But because it's going to a computer, it is not getting lost. It's not getting confused with other pieces of information. It can be stored in such a way that can be useful in the future. In the same way that we all have these AI note takers on calls, an AI that is able to operate with the insurance broker or producer and work with them every step of the way to capture the relevant pieces of information that they are receiving and then going and updating databases. That's a really powerful concept. It's not incredibly complex. The technology exists today to be able to capture this information, but it's really about the orchestration of bringing these AI bots, these AI assistants in with the brokers to do the work with them to capture this information with them. So Jake, really excited about the work that y'all are doing at Mesh. Really excited. Y'all, I know y'all are coming up on a big launch here soon. I'll be posting the link to y'all's website for people to learn more. I would highly recommend, for those of you who are agencies that are looking to other agencies to see how they're implementing AI, Mesh is going to become one of the standards for that, especially in the UK. So Jake, thank you so much again for coming on, and thank you all for listening. Have a great day.
Cheers. Thanks, Paul.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.